Yeah.
What exactly made you come to middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania?
Okay, so I had kind of burned out in Los Angeles. I wanted to take a break. I just wanted to take a break for a little while and move anywhere. And so this buddy of mine in New Orleans and I were looking on the internet for all kinds of properties. We were like looking at caves in Maine and bowling alleys with asbestos and high schools with back taxes you could get for $1, just crazy properties. And we'd seen Fight Club 2, which like added to the romance of let's just go somewhere else and trash everything. And I feel like the building found us. That his wife called me and said, hey, there's this hotel in the middle of nowhere in this coal mining town for sale on eBay for $11,000. And if someone doesn't buy it immediately, they're gonna tear it down. And no one thought it was real. Everyone was like, there's no way a hotel with a bar and all that. And a week later, I was living here. And I have to say, all these years later, still it feels like the building found us.
The building found us.
In the night, did you hear a bump in the night? In the night, bump in the night. In the night, bump in the night. Did you hear a bump in the night? In the night, bump in the night.
In case you missed it, here is what happened in part 1.
Is your middle name Minnie?
What happened after you left the bar?
Are you buried under the Grand Midway Hotel?
As we promised the little girl's spirit Hannah, we go back to the Grand Midway Hotel and immediately trudge down into the basement where she is supposedly buried.
I just heard a noise over there.
Alright.
Over there on the other side of the basement.
Is this disembodied voice telling me to go to the other side of the basement to find the body? Obviously, we could not hear the voices clearly, or else we would have obliged. With no activity using a laser grid, I decide to put on the spirit box and see if we can solve the mysteries of the Grand Midway Hotel.
Is anyone down here would like to communicate with us? Are you the little girl that was buried down here? Are you able to turn that light off for us? If you're the little girl that is down here, can you turn the light off completely? Like it's female, I can't tell what it was though. I see you playing with the flashlight. Can you please turn it off?
A voice comes through saying, "So was he." Does this mean that there is possibly a man's body in the basement as well as the little girl?
The little girl down here.
Can you tell us how old you are?
The little girl comes through verifying that she is 8. This backs the evidence we received in the Renaissance Church basement when the disembodied voice of the little girl said, and then the REM pod responded to Sean's question, indicating that we were interacting with a little girl buried in the Grand Midway Hotel basement.
Were you at the church with us? How many people are buried down here?
When I asked how many people are buried down here, an adult female voice comes through saying, I am. Does this mean that there are more people buried in the basement than just the little girl?
How many entities are down here? What is your name?
The flashlight goes wild as voices come through saying there are 4 entities interacting with us, and then the voice comes through identifying herself as Hannah.
Martha!
Martha tells us that she is still with us, and then a man says that he is here as well. Could it be that Martha, the little girl Hannah, and the unidentified adult male and female that are possibly buried down here are the 4 entities that are interacting with us?
That was my stomach. I didn't even eat buffalo chicken.
I like to think that Martha was the spirit that found my guttural growls humorous. If only she could tell me that 2 months and 23 days later, I'd have 30 centimeters of my intestine removed.
Are you able to walk past the grid? Yeah. It's just like the Beller house when we were doing that spirit box session in the basement. Are you trapped in the basement or can you go around the house? Someone just flushed the toilet. Well, you boys want to call it a night on this down here?
The rest of the team retires to their slumber for the night and leaves Luke and I to our own devices. I set a digital voice recorder on the kitchen counter, and we go to another part of the hotel. Within minutes, voices start to show up. A conversation from the past plays out as one entity says vacancy, and the other entity seems to be confused. A brief interaction plays out a few minutes later. EVPs on voice recorders often come through as whispers, and it is typically hard to decipher voice tones. This is because it requires spirits to use more energy to come through, as digital voice recorders do not offer the assistance of white noise like spirit boxes do.
So in the kitchen, our kitchen is kind of turns on and off. Some seasons it's very active, other seasons nothing whatsoever. I remember there was one year where like everybody was real upset about it, that no one wanted to eat in there, no one wanted to cook in there. There's a skeptic guy who was living with us and he had a dog, and the little dog would not go in the kitchen, would never leave his side, but he'd walk in the kitchen, the dog would stop in the doorway, he'd drag the dog in, the dog would run out. And we put food down, the dog would not eat until the food was taken out of the kitchen. It's just some seasons, something was going on with the kitchen.
Is that you, the bartender? Oh, the light's coming on. Can you turn that flashlight on a little bit more?
Keep going, please.
Can you please turn it as bright as possible? Ooh, there you go. Thank you.
Having both the flashlight and the REM pod turning on validates the interaction.
If you're the bartender, can you turn the REM pod off? If you're Minnie, can you turn the REM pod up there? See? That's what she does every time.
Like in the kitchen interactions in part 1 of the documentary, Minnie comes through with her playfully defiant nature. As we move the investigation to the seance room, disembodied voices come through. This seems like it's possibly a residual sexual encounter from the brothel days, as a feminine sounding voice says, "I'm ready," and then a masculine voice replies, "Take it off."
Can you make a noise or tell us where we should go in the hotel here?
The spirits don't offer any help, so I decide to bust out my spirit box to better communicate.
Minnie, are you still here with us?
Minnie comes through, letting us know that she's still here with us. Then a male voice comes through, indicating that Minnie is behind me.
Minnie, are you still here?
A lot of intelligent interaction through the spirit box. Minnie reassures that she is still there with us, while a male entity offers mean comments after each time she comes through, describing her as a servant and a slut. Then the word explosives comes through the spirit box. Could this be referring to the fireworks tragedy that took Minnie's life? Next is the darkest room in the hotel, the dreaded Canopy Room.
We had one room that in particular seems like it's the most haunted room, without question. And people, all the time, they step in there and they're just like, there's something about this room. And it's gotten creepier over the years. And I would say 8 out of 10 people that stay there don't sleep in the room. I find them across the hall in the morning, and they just say, there's something about that room, something that said, get out. People play Ouija in that room. It says, get out, game over. It's instant, very, very consistent. Game over, get out, just get out. That's the message over and over again.
Since it is after 4 a.m. and the rest of the hotel is sleeping, we decided to limit our equipment to just the K2 meter that measures electromagnetic energy, a flashlight, laser grid, and digital voice recorder.
I'm actually gonna sit next to this little lady here. We're named after Tyler Young.
Is it really?
And they will get you after her.
Is there anybody in the room with us? We have different recording devices. You can come up and talk to us.
The flashlight's going on again.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not moving, so.
You able to turn that flashlight on, Roger? If you walk in front of one of these leg lines, we can see you walk through it. It won't hurt you, it's just a laser beam. It's just a light.
Can you tell us what happened to you? While you're in this room? The flashlight going off anymore?
Nah, yeah.
Promise we mean you no harm. We're just here to learn more about the history of this place.
No, just one off.
We do. And we just want to learn about you.
Can you shut that flashlight completely off so we know that's you? Wrong way. Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Immediately, a woman announces in a disembodied voice that she's in the room with us. The K2 flashes bright orange, indicating the presence of an entity behind me, and then the flashlight goes off.
The CMF detector's lighting up to orange.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's right behind my head. It's for the camera, you might not be able to see it.
Oh, this flashlight behind you just turned on.
The EMF detector behind my head's also turning orange.
Not anymore. Thank you for turning this one on now.
Are we?
Let's get it off.
Are we still interacting with Minnie? If it's Minnie,
Get it off.
are we still interacting with Minnie? If it's Minnie, can you turn one of the lights on? A new lady at the Grand Midway Hotel introduces herself by fiercely proclaiming into my digital voice recorder watch that no, she is not Minnie. We're in one of the mirrors. Are you able to show yourself to us? We really appreciate it. Did you move on the bed?
Huh?
Did you move on the bed?
No.
I hear like a tapping from underneath the bed.
No, not me.
The hostile spirit tells us to get out and knocks from underneath the bed. I'm trying to stay as still as possible, but not manipulate any of the things in the room if anything does move.
This flashlight's turning on.
It's turning on.
It's trying to, yeah. It's like blinking.
Can you use a little more energy and turn that on the whole way? This one beside me is turning on. Thank you. We appreciate that. The next part is completely compelling and validates all the flashlight interactions we've had so far.
This light solid green now. Right by your head. It's fully green. The second dot's fully green. Oh, this
Oh.
flashlight just turned on.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
I just got cool as fuck.
Can you tell us, did you pass away in this room? If you did, can you please turn the light on? Did they just turn it on and off?
It's off now.
This concludes our cold night stay at the Grand Midway Hotel. Although we did get a plethora of evidence, it feels as though we leave this mysterious location with more questions than answers. We now know the angry woman that haunts the Canopy Room did meet her demise within its four walls, and there is a little girl named Hannah that is buried in the basement. But what does it all mean? 9 months and 13 days go by until we return to the Grand Midway Hotel to interview Blair for this documentary. I couldn't leave without getting another shot at uncovering the origin to the dark energy in the Canopy Room.
Okay, guys. Well, I'm glad you survived your stay. Anything else you want to see before you take off?
The woman in this room, can you come through and tell us what your name is?
We know that the little girl buried in the basement is Hannah. Is it possible that the angry woman haunting the Canopy Room is named Laura Cartwright?
Did you die in this room?
This EVP backs up what we learned from the flashlight, that the person died in this room. However, it appears that a man could be speaking on behalf of the woman.
They say you don't like men. Did a man do something to you in this room? Something in the basement. What's in the basement?
Could the man that said she's in the basement be referring to the body of the woman who haunts the Canopy Room?
So Chip Coffey, the guy who does the show Psychic Kids, he came once and he said that his theory was that it was a suicide happened in the room. And we've had some other people say that as well. That may have happened also, but we believe that a woman was murdered in the room. We think a woman was strangled there. And Chip Coffey, when he was in our basement, he said there's a woman buried down here in the basement that nobody knows about, that got killed upstairs.
Is there a woman who committed suicide in this room? Is that what happened? Or were you strangled?
This is completely compelling as it confirms that the woman did not commit suicide but was strangled in the Canopy Room.
Minnie, are you able to come in this room?
I don't think that makes much of a difference if the REM pod was on in a few degrees. It's down more right now.
What's up?
So the REM pods went down a few degrees. It was at 45, it's at 43.1 now.
Is there somebody over by the REM pod?
A little girl comes through to tell us that her mom is in the room with us.
The family that sold us the place, they said that long ago, before they were there, a family buried a child, lost a child, and buried it in the basement. So we have a dirt floor in the basement, and they thought we should know that there's a body buried in the basement. And this was confirmed, and it's all actual. But we think we have a child ghost in the building, and I've had lots of people mention child ghosts. Lots of females staying over and said, I'm telling you, I was napping and the kid crawled up on me and went to...
There is a great chance that the child Blair refers to is the year-old. Is it possible that Hannah is the little girl that said while doing our spirit box session in the Canopy Room?
Even recently, I have a 5-year-old, and last year I remember she was saying, out of nowhere, she says, Dad, what's under the kitchen? I was like, oh, I didn't say I was a kid your age. But she kept asking, like, over and over, what's under the kitchen? I'd say the basement. She said, well, what's in the basement specifically in the kitchen area? And so we think there are these slabs down there, these big cement slabs that play no role down there. They're not for support or anything. And there's a big one right beneath the kitchen. So we think that's where this child's been buried.
My theory is that prior to the turn of the century, a couple living at the Grand Midway Hotel lost their child Hannah due to natural causes, and she was buried in the basement.
Are you buried under the Grand Midway Hotel?
Oh, wow.
The loss of a child can turn parents mad, and in a fit of rage, the man, his wife, in the Canopy Room, and then buried her in the basement along with enveloped by the man returned to the Canopy Room and took his own life.
A suicide happened in the room.
And then when he was found, was also buried in the basement with his family.
Are you the little girl that was buried down here?
Is it possible possible that the disembodied voice that called out to us from the other side of the basement
I just heard a noise over there.
was trying to show us where the bodies are buried? A mother's love in life leads to a mother's rage in death.
Can you tell us, did you pass away in this room? If you did, can you please turn the light on? Did they just turn it on and off?
A hotel filled with tragedy
What happened after you left the bar?
leads to the old haunted hotel cliche, where many will check in, but some will never check out.
That's my stomach. Of course. That is also my stomach. Pulled pork.
Mikey's about to poop himself. Make a sound.
Pooed pork. Pulled pork was a bad idea. Pooed pork.
Food pork.
And my stomach starts.
I was thinking the same thing.
I'm
My
getting-
stomach.
I'm getting those stabbing butt pains.
I need to get this recording. What were you getting, Jen?
Stabbing butt pains.
Wait, get Michael out of the way.
On Instagram. Talking about you not doing solo playtime and your shrinkage.
And you're shrinking.
It's on my Facebook. And then I said he was single and ready to mingle.
Well, I have his
Started
camera.
dancing.
This camera's on right now.
Can you let go of that, please?
Are you evil? Green for yes, red for no.
Yes.
Thank you. Now you say that you're evil. What are you? Demon! Did you hear that?